You are listening to the Starter Girls podcast with Jennifer Loading. Whether you are starting a project, starting a business, starting a brand, or starting a movement, we are here to talk about it. Starter Girls podcast is brought to you by Walt Mills Photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you're in the Dallas or surrounding area and you're looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. And with that, we are going to get this started. Today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, my friends, I'm super excited to welcome my guest on the show. I want to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. Alicia Bush is a wife, homeschooling mother of three, author, international missionary, White House faith leader, and founder and CEO of Treasured Vessels Foundation. After leaving her career as a successful medical device sales rep, she actively pursued her calling and decided to build a secure community for minors and youth who have been recovered from sex trafficking and sexual exploitation. Alicia's goal is to eradicate this tragedy and work herself out of a job. So welcome to the show, Alicia. We are super excited to have you on here today.
I am so happy to be with you guys.
And I love your hat, by the way. You look super chic back there. You got it going on.
You know, it's funny because I don't know. I'm so thankful that I look good in a hat because it's you just go, hey, a ponytail. Did I have time to shower? When is the last time I showered? Have I looked in the mirror recently? But I got the hat on and we're just going to go with it.
It's working. And you got cool earrings too. So it's all come together. I love it. It's awesome. So, and hey, sometimes that's what you got to do, right? I mean, we're in these times now where it's like I don't know about you, but I feel like my schedule is just so kind of all over the place. So I get up at the same time every day, but it's like some days, I'm still like running around, getting things done and showering at like 3:00 in the afternoon, So I don't know if that's just where we are or if that's like being a mom. You know what I mean?
No, I feel like it's like all the time. So used to, we get on a car and we would drive to our appointments. You had that time and then maybe you would grab lunch with a friend or a business. And now you go, okay, now we're going to sit down at Zoom on 8 a.m. in the morning till 6. And then by the time I stand up, I'm like, my bottom hurts.
Right.
I've been sitting in the same plastic chair all day, super productive. However, I don't know it was the healthiest
right
thing to do is just pack her. I got 30-minute increments. Bam, 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 bam.
Yes, I'm with you 100% on that. I agree. It's like, and it's so funny because, we're like dressed up from here up and then on the bottom, you're like, got your biker shorts on or your half shorts on, your slippers on, don't make us take a full picture because you don't know what's going on. Yeah. So I love it.
You have something on.
Yes,
down there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. All right. So I want to get into this and jump right in and talk a little bit about what you're doing. So I want to start off because I told our listeners a little bit about, what you've got going on here, but I want to talk about the inspiration, what led you to this, how this all came about for you. So take us back into that a little bit and tell us how this all kind of developed.
It's always such an interesting story because so many of us have a story that I got into this because this happened to me, or I met this person, or I saw this movie and you were inspired. But mine was mine was a faith journey that really was a step of obedience. And I haven't always, as a child, I wasn't always the most obedient child. My parents would tell you that I probably thrived in disobedience. So it was a different kind of journey for me where I'm in medical device. I'm very used to wearing the mask. And I loved being in healthcare. I loved, just that environment and patients and seeing them recover and heal and, really, a busy, kind of aggressive from what I've heard type of sales environment, being in the operating room and such an intensity in healthcare. So I love that. I was in the middle of raising my kids, I have 3 kids and we decided to homeschool them early on. So we're used to that too. So not a lot has changed during COVID.
Yeah.
Which is wild. But I just really felt like there was something else which is crazy, right? Because you go, I'm a mom in the middle of my career. I was in the highest point of my career, just doing really well. And I just was like, there's something missing. So I resigned from my career December 31st, 2014. And then I told my husband in that order. I wouldn't recommend that. We're fine now. But that, I'm the one with the W-2. I'm the healthcare. I have the insurance. I got all the things, stability, and,
Right.
and he's a builder, and, it happened in 2008 and whatever. And he's just going, what, you're resigning? I said, you know what, there's something more. So I went on this faith journey of just being still, being intentional to just positioning myself with a yes in my heart for whatever it is, what God wanted me to do. And about 11 months later, I knew nothing about human trafficking. I didn't, had met anyone that had been trafficked or anything. And I knew that what I heard was from the Lord because it was so supernaturally authentic that it wasn't anything of my flesh. And not to say that there's anything wrong with going that direction. It's just for me, I had to really be in a posture of obedience. So I sat up out of bed on a Saturday morning, and the Lord said, you will build an aftercare facility for girls rescued from sex trafficking. And my next question was, is that a thing? Is that a need? So I began to call some other nonprofits, law enforcement, just going, hey, so when I read about somebody on the news, where did and they recover? You say the trafficker, we took them to jail, but where did the other people go that were rescued? Like, where did they go? And everybody kind of shrugged their shoulders and smirked and said, Alicia, it's sad, but we don't really have a specific place for them. Maybe she's a domestic violence. We take her to a domestic violence shelter. Maybe we take her back to the foster home that she came from, or the home that she ran away from, or maybe we take her to jail because she's a runaway. I mean, there's just a lot of different options, but nothing that really satisfies that need for recovery, that time that people need that have gone through traumatic experiences, sometimes for a lifetime, to really begin to heal in something that's very specific to exploitation and trafficking, which we've learned is a very unique population that needs very unique and specialized care. So I said, okay, looked at my husband. He's a builder. I come from healthcare. We said, okay, we are going to start to learn about this population. Started talking with survivors. I got a board. People said I needed a board. I'm like, what's a board? What do I need that for? Just the complete ignorance of how, like, the philanthropic sector, that nonprofit, so just learning as we go, trial by fire, and meeting with, just being a good student. So meeting with CPS, meeting with law enforcement, Homeland Security, survivors that have taken a leadership role, and just asking so many questions, asking other nonprofits, okay, I know you serve this population in this space. What do you do? What would you like to improve? What pieces do you see that are missing? How do we create a best practices model? And so it took 4 years, which some people are like, oh my gosh, Alicia, that was so fast. It seemed like an eternity. But our first phase was to open up and begin to serve youth 18 to 24. We opened up back in January. So 8 months, we were cutting our teeth on serving the youth first, all the while plowing and pioneering a very unique niche in serving the minors, 9 years old to 17, here in the DFW area. So it's been a wild and enlightening journey, but also so it's just so powerful to see the survivors respond to the program that we've created specifically for them, when they honestly come to our program not even knowing that there was even an opportunity for a second chance, or that really hope had been ripped from them.
Wow. That is so incredible. I am just listening to all of that. And just the fact that I go back to the very beginning when you were talking about, you left your job and for this calling and to do this, and talk about having faith. I mean, just immense faith and belief in something. I just think that's so incredible, because there is never a guarantee when you do something like this. And it could be any endeavor that you take on. There is never a guarantee that something is going to work out. And the fact that you just believed in that enough and had that calling, it doesn't matter whether you have your story, you have your own story. That is a story. You know what I mean? I think everybody has a story. And so I think it's incredible. I'm just incredibly, I guess, impressed that you were able to just kind of up and do that. And what you're doing, I think, is so amazing. It's so amazing. I have just kind of a question, and without divulging too much information, because I know you have to respect the privacy of everybody in this organization, what's going on. What does a day look like for you in this field that you are in? What does that look like?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
It is. It is. You don't have to go into everything. Just tell us kind of, because I know you wear many hats. For real. You're wearing many hats. So what does this look like for you? Yeah.
There's that rescue aspect, right, of getting the call and beginning the interview process with the survivor to make sure that she understands what the program is about. Because sometimes when they find out what the program is about, or how long it is, or maybe they have dependents, children, meaning that, or maybe they need a detox, or just some of the policies that we have in place. We begin that conversation, and some are not ready for that type of commitment. And then, so there's that piece, and then there's just the day-to-day 24/7 care in the home, where we've learned that we kind of say, this is what the population looks like. But then we learn, oh my goodness, they are all so unique in their stories, in their journeys, where they are when it comes to healing, what they believe in, about safety, sense of self. We do really an assessment when they come in. So we get kind of a baseline of trauma, a baseline for our therapist that's on staff, to know what it's going to look like to serve her versus the other. So we're constantly revising, tailoring every single bit of our program specific to their needs. Some want to sleep through the night. That's a goal. I just want to sleep through the night without a night terror. I sleep through the night without being raped. And then there's others that say, oh, I've always dreamed about going to be a pediatrician. Because when I was younger, I wished that my pediatrician had recognized the signs of what I was going through. And then others say, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. I've never had an opportunity to dream. So they teach us so much. So we're still every day learning and revising safety, putting policies into place, training. Oh, well, we need to train on that now, because now we have an individual that has a history of seizures. Okay, are we trained on that? Or we have a young lady that's coming in currently self-harming. Okay, do we know how to, where's our bandages? Do we have gloves? So that's the part of just that kind of everyday.
Yeah.
Some days the girls need more support than others. Do we have a court date coming up? Do we have a doctor's appointment? Does somebody need glasses? And so there's that residential piece of just running a home every day, schedules, getting people scheduled and covered shifts, and art projects, equine therapy. Who's taking them? Do we have any gas in the TVF van?
Right.
And then you've got that other side of fielding phone calls from donors and people interested in learning more, training volunteers, scheduling fundraisers, all that kind of external piece. And that's one of the things that I learned with organizations like ours is a lot do the people inside the home also do the things outside the home. And that's something that I heard that was so hard on the staff, because what's happening inside the home is can be very, very difficult some days. And so to also task them with keeping the lights on it was a little much. So we were very intentional to kind of separate the two.
Gotcha.
So that's Facebook posts, fielding concerned parents, phone calls, messages on social media of, I read this, could this happen to my child? So because there's a great deal of concern out in the community about, and just fear around this issue. And is this true versus this not being true?
Right.
So,
Wow. Wow. And yeah, I imagine there's a lot. And I know we've talked off the screen, so I know that you do a lot with that organization. And like I said, I'm so impressed with what you do and admire your, dedication and tenacity to working on this and really trying to eradicate, or at least be a piece in the eradication of this situation. So, fun question I want to ask you, what do you love most about what you get to do? What's the best part of this for you?
I think that kind of has changed. It's hard to accept gratitude from people, sometimes even in the community, when they say, Alicia, I'm so thankful for what you do. It's kind of like us saying, someone to us, I'm so thankful that you're a female. Because for me, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's all good.
For me, you just went away on my screen. For me, this is what I was created to do.
Right.
So to accept gratitude, but then I receive this message, and I'm not looking for words of affirmation. I'm just hoping that it works out. But then you receive a message from somebody in the program that says, Alicia, I would be dead if it wasn't for you and your obedience, or you've changed my life and generations to come. And she's holding her newborn, and like, those just remind me of those hard days when it's unpredictable and you're fielding all the calls and you're doing all the business things, and go, okay, I know that this is worth it. Not only for the survivors, but also that aspect of educating the community on the stigmas around this population and what we've believed for a long time about this population. I love that, educating the community to where the community now sees this population with just compassion and not judgment. And then also I do that with the survivors. I try to help them understand why the community responded to them in such a negative way, maybe when they saw them out on the streets, and pointed fingers or called them names, or, so just helping people see it through a different lens is really, it really fuels my excitement to know that I could change someone's viewpoints to such a hard topic.
Right. I love that. Wow. Powerful. So I'm going to kind of switch gears on you a little bit. We'll be quite not as serious, maybe here a little bit. In your words, in Alicia's words, what does success look like to you? What does that feel like to you?
I think being able to have a program that we can hand this off to, and duplicate this program and be able to provide these services to others that are in need. Kind of that was more of a little bit of a long-term goal, but maybe even more of a long-term goal, if we can understand that if we can decrease the demand, meaning really having hard conversations with family members about the industry and how it's fueled with pornography, with those type of addictions that are so shameful in our families that we don't want to talk about them, but we know that that's a direct component. Educating our families on how to keep our kids and even young people from being vulnerable, and being able to see that decrease, that significant decrease, because the traffickers are they're not in as demand as much, so they're not needing the supply. And I know that may be, after I'm dead and gone, that we see that, but to be able to see that and see girls come out of the life and the trauma and be able to have a significant impact on the community as leaders, not just as just working a mediocre job when she really wanted a career in X. Yeah. And that we were able to give her those tools because we had a yes in our heart for whatever it is she could dream about, whatever it is that she could dream up, we said yes. And we didn't kind of look at her and go, well, that, or him or her, well, that may not be, you may not be cut out to be that, or we don't have the resources to be able to provide that kind of education for you. But because everything that we do, we're like, okay, it's a yes. Now let's reverse engineer and figure out how to get to that yes.
I love that. So amazing. So amazing. All right. So some fun stuff. So when you're not being busy, being a mom, homeschooling, and working on this foundation, what else do you like to do for fun?
My husband would tell you that traveling is really important to him because it's the only way that he can get me to somewhat disconnect. Even though I don't, I'd rather have my toes in the sand and be on my laptop working. And I love to work. I love to make an impact. I love to just fall into bed knowing I made a difference, and that there's worth having breath in my lungs. So we do love to travel. We love different cultures. We would like to one day turn over treasured vessels to an executive director, have her or him take this organization to the next level. And we want to sell everything that we own on land and go sailing.
Yeah.
And with your family and go sailing around the world. Since you're already homeschooled, just do something completely different and unique and adventurous.
Yeah.
So we love wine country. So I say, Holy Spirit lives in my heart, but Jesus lives in Napa.
That's cute.
And Napa was burning a couple of years ago, and my friends would call me, I think he moved. There's something about the process of wine and that part of the country that the people are just farmers and cultivating the land and just everything about that part of I don't know. It's I would love to be a sommelier one day and learn all the things about wine, but I gotta find a little bit more bandwidth in my day to.
That's great. That's so awesome. That's awesome. All right. So, Alicia, are you a morning or night person?
Morning.
Morning. What about, let's do this, cat or dog?
Oh, dog.
Dog. Do you have a dog?
We don't.
Okay.
Our dog passed away. Just 2.5 pounds.
Oh my
she
goodness.
Passed away like 12 years old. And so from then on, we've had the 3 kids, and people say, "Oh, Alicia, you have to have an animal," and we're just going, "Golly!" I mean, you add one more thing to take care of, and we thought about adopting kids, and my husband's going, "Alicia, you are every person that you're serving, like you are literally adopting them. So stop it. You're adding to the mouths to feed." And like,
yes, we want to save. Yeah, we want to save everything and everyone, and you just only have enough space to go around, just a little bit, right? I get it. And what would you say is your favorite food?
Ooh, favorite food. I love a charcuterie board.
Very cool.
I love kind of like that. Those and like with wine, right? And so you have the, I'm a what do you call it? A grazer.
Yeah.
You go to parties and the dip with the sour cream and the mayonnaise, and you don't know how many calories you ate, but you scooped it up with the carrot. So somehow we're supposed to feel better about ourselves. I have no idea how much I ate,
but you ate it with the carrot.
But I did, and it looked pretty.
That's right. So, I love it. All right, and last fun question I want to ask you: if you could be any superhero or character for a day, what would you choose?
This is going to sound super religious, right?
Yeah.
But it's a very, I would, and I don't even know how you could say this without somebody saying, "Alicia, that's so wrong that you would say that." But I would love to see people the way that Jesus saw people. with such compassion, especially with what's going on in our world right now and how we've ripped the humanity away from people, if we're buying and selling them, or how we're treating each other on social media behind a screen, or just this hashtag and that hashtag, and going, oh gosh, Jesus, if I could make an impact like you did, and not necessarily sacrifice my life like that, but just that character of that people just responded to for seeing people for who they really are, regardless of all the other things, but just truly having that lens is something I really even just aspire to have, even though I think my kids think I hide a little cape underneath my shirt every once in a while, doing all the things.
Yeah.
But it is that is really the core of how I would like to live my life.
That's awesome. Well, the great thing about that question is you can be whatever you want to be. That's why I ask it. It's so fun. That's like one of my favorite questions to ask because, of course, we always get the generic, like Superman or Superwoman or all of this. And then every once in a while we get just this one that somebody creates. And I think it's so great. I love it. You can be whatever you want to be. That's what dreaming is all about, right? So, Alicia, if our guests wanted to learn a little bit, more about you and what you've got going on, where would we send them?
treasuredvesselsfoundation.org. We have a website. We also have an app that's Treasured Vessels Foundation. Looks like TVF on your screen. It has things for how to keep kids safe. It also has an application for future residents. We did that so future residents could have that app on their phone in case they wanted to come and receive services from our program. And then social media, Instagram is Treasured Vessels Foundation, and you'll see people hashtag TVF. We've tried to shorten that a little bit, but yeah.
This is great. Well, I want to say to you, thank you so much for jumping on here today, sharing a little bit about what you've got going on, your foundation. And I know you're not big on the affirmations and all that, but I will tell you, thank you for what you're doing because it is an important cause and it was important before it was important. You know what I mean? It's been important for a while and there's a lot of it out, in the media now and they're talking about it more, but it's been important for a while. And so I want to applaud you for taking the leap of faith and doing what you did, even when it was scary, and fighting for your cause, because I'm like you. And I think when our passions are bigger than us, they become us. They take us, and when you were talking earlier about, just you love working and doing what you do, that's what happens when you're passionate, And so I admire you for that. And so I do want to tell you thank you again for being on here and keep fighting the fight. So with that, I want to say to our guest, of course, if you enjoy our podcast, please be sure you give us a rating both on Facebook and iTunes because we can't do this without you, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And with that, I want to leave you guys with a final thought. You can live your dreams if you can embrace change. It's by taking chances that you'll learn how to be brave. And that's by Nikita Koloff, by the way. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.